The ship landed on the quiet alien world. Dust rose into the thin blue sky, and the sound of engines faded. The human soldier stepped down, his boots pressing into strange soil. He was alone, carrying only his weapon and his courage. This planet was said to be dangerous, full of secrets, and full of eyes watching from the shadows. The air was sharp but breathable. Strange plants grew tall, their colors brighter than anything on Earth. The soldier walked carefully, scanning the horizon. He had been sent to scout, to find any sign of life. But he did not expect what he found that day. At first, he saw movement near the trees, a shape that glowed faintly, silver light against green leaves. He raised his weapon, heart beating faster. The shape stepped out, and it was not a monster. It was a figure, tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like moonlight. The soldier froze. Before him stood an alien princess, though he did not know her title yet. Her hair fell like golden fire, her eyes like two stars. Her dress seemed woven from starlight itself. She looked at him, curious, proud, and a little cold. For a moment, neither spoke. The soldier felt small under her gaze. He was only human, weak in the eyes of alien empires. And yet, something inside him wanted to break the silence. He wanted to test if she understood, if she could laugh, if she could feel. So he smirked. "Hey, babe," he said jokingly. It was careless, a human habit, not serious at all, but the words left his mouth before he could stop himself. The silence of the alien forest seemed to grow heavier. The princess blinked. Her face changed, the cold mask breaking. Her cheeks turned bright, glowing with soft light. And then she whispered back, her voice smooth like music. "Yes, baby," she replied. The soldier almost dropped his weapon. He had not expected this, not at all. He thought she would be angry, insulted, or even attack him. But instead, she blushed like a shy girl and answered him with human words. How did she know those words? And why did she use them? The moment stretched. Between them, the soldier's heart beat louder in his chest. The princess lowered her gaze as if embarrassed by her own reply. Then she looked up again, and her eyes burned with mystery. He could not tell if it was kindness, danger, or something else. The forest seemed to close in around them. Strange. Birds cried from the branches. The wind carried voices that were not voices, whispers of old power. The soldier felt that he had stepped into a story older than his people, and yet it had begun with a joke. The princess took a step closer. Her movements were slow, graceful, almost floating. The soldier did not move. She studied him with eyes that could see deeper than skin, eyes that seemed to read his thoughts, his fears, his courage. "You are human," she said softly. Her voice was both a question and a truth. The soldier nodded, unable to find clever words now. She tilted her head as if weighing his soul. Then she whispered, "Strange, very strange." The soldier tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. What could he say? That he was nobody, that he was only here because of orders, that he never meant to stand before a princess of another world. The alien princess smiled faintly. It was not mockery, not cruelty. It was something fragile, like hope. She stepped back and looked toward the distant mountains. Then she turned to him again, her eyes glowing. "You should not be here," she said. Her voice carried warning, but also something else. It was not hatred, not anger, but concern. The soldier tightened his grip on his weapon, but deep inside, he felt that she was not his enemy. The silence grew heavier again. He thought of running, of calling his ship, but his feet would not move. Something about her held him still, as if the universe itself wanted him to stay. The princess folded her hands. Her blush had not fully faded. Her eyes studied him once more. "You are different," she said quietly. Her voice trembled, as if she was not meant to say it. The soldier felt a chill. Different. What did she mean? Why would an alien princess blush at his joke? Why would she speak to him like this? He realized then that this meeting was not chance. The world around them felt alive. The forest whispered. The mountains watched. The air carried a weight of destiny. The soldier and the princess stood in the middle of it, bound together by a strange word, a strange joke, and a strange reply. He did not know what would come next, but he knew one thing. nothing would ever be the same again. And as the alien princess met his gaze one more time, the story of humans and aliens began with a single word. Yes, baby! Asterisk. The alien princess stood still, her eyes locked with the soldiers. The blush on her face had not yet faded, and the silence between them was heavy. The soldier did not know what to say. He felt like a fool for joking, yet her answer still echoed in his head. Yes, baby, she had said, and those words carried a strange weight. They were simple words, but they broke the walls between two different worlds. He looked around the forest, trying to escape her gaze, but the trees seemed alive, the shadows whispering, watching. He had never felt so out of place, yet never so needed. The princess moved closer, her steps soft like falling feathers. You are human, but you are not weak, she whispered, as if speaking to herself. The soldier frowned, unsure if he had heard correctly. Most aliens treated humans as nothing, as lesser beings, but she spoke differently, as though she saw something hidden inside him. He opened his mouth to ask, but before he could speak, she raised her hand. Do not speak too loudly, she warned, her voice firm. He froze, looking around the silent forest. Then he saw them, faint glimmers of silver armor between the trees. Alien guards, tall and cold, their faces hidden behind glowing masks. They were watching, waiting, perhaps listening. The princess's eyes hardened, and she stepped slightly in front of him. They must not know, she said quietly. They must not hear how I speak to you. The soldier's heart raced. He felt danger closing in from all sides. Why was she protecting him? Why was she risking herself? He studied her face, and in her eyes he saw a war between duty and desire. It was the look of someone who wanted freedom but lived inside a cage. The guards moved away slowly, fading back into the shadows. The princess finally exhaled, her shoulders softening. They suspect, she said. They always suspect, but they do not understand, the soldier asked in a low voice. Why did you answer me like that? Why say yes? Her lips curved into the smallest smile, a smile that seemed almost human. Because I wanted to, she replied, her voice trembling slightly. Her words hit him harder than any weapon. She was a princess, a being of power, yet she spoke with honesty and warmth. The soldier felt something stir inside him, something he could not control. It was not just attraction, it was something deeper, something dangerous. The princess turned away, staring at the glowing horizon. My people see you as fragile, she said. They do not see what I see, the soldier asked softly. And what do you see? Her voice lowered, as if the forest itself might betray her. I see a spark, she whispered, a spark that could change everything. He did not understand, not yet, but her words burned into his mind. The forest grew quiet, the air heavy with unspoken meaning. The princess stepped closer again, so close he could see the faint glow of her skin. You must not tell anyone about this, she said firmly. If they learn of our bond, they will destroy you. Her warning sent a chill through him, but her eyes held more fear for him than for herself. The soldier nodded slowly, realizing the truth. Whatever this was between them, it was forbidden. She was royalty. He was a soldier from a lesser world. Her people would never allow it, and his own command would never understand. Yet in that moment, standing close enough to hear her breath, he felt the bond grow stronger. The princess reached out, her hand hovering near his. She did not touch, but the air between them burned with invisible fire. For a second, the soldier wished the universe would vanish, leaving only the two of them. But then a sound broke the moment, sharp and metallic. A distant horn echoed through the valley, calling the guards back. Her face tightened, the mask of a princess returning. She straightened her posture, her voice now sharp and commanding. You must leave, she said, but her eyes begged him to stay. The soldier felt torn apart inside, caught between reason and desire. He whispered, will I see you again? Her lips trembled, and for a heartbeat she looked like a girl trapped in a golden prison. Yes, she said finally, but not here, not now. I will find you. She turned quickly before the guards could see her softness. The soldier watched as she walked away, her light fading between the trees. He felt emptiness in his chest, but also fire, a fire that refused to die as he stood alone in the alien forest. He realized the truth. He was no longer just a soldier on a mission. He was part of something dangerous, something forbidden. The alien princess had given him her words, her secret, and her bond, and in his heart, he swore he would not let that bond be broken. The guards returned, their armor shining under this strange sky. They watched him coldly, but said nothing. The soldier forced himself to act calm, to pretend nothing had happened. Inside, though, he was burning with questions and feelings he could not explain. He knew his life had changed forever, and the galaxy would soon feel the same. The soldier could not sleep that night. His camp was silent, the alien stars glowing above him. But his mind was loud. He kept hearing her words again and again. "You are not weak, and I see a spark." Why would an alien princess speak like that? Why would she risk so much just to talk to him? The forest seemed darker now, filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. The next morning, he followed his orders, scouting the terrain, marking paths, and checking the sky for patrols. But his thoughts were not on the mission. They were on her. Every time the wind moved through the trees, he thought of her voice. Every time he saw the shimmer of light, he thought it was her dress. The bond between them was forbidden, but it was also unshakable. By midday, he felt the presence again. It was like the air shifted. A soft hum vibrating through the forest. He turned sharply, his weapon ready, but then he froze. There she was, standing in the shade of a silver tree, her eyes glowing with quiet fire. The alien princess had come back. She raised her hand quickly, a signal for silence. Her expression was urgent, not playful like before. She looked around the trees, scanning for guards, then stepped close to him. "You should not be here," she whispered, but her tone carried warmth as well as warning. "You said you would find me," he whispered back, and for a moment her blush returned. "There is something you must see," she said softly, "but you must promise not to tell anyone." The soldier hesitated. He knew the danger, but he nodded. Her eyes softened, and she turned, moving quickly through the forest. He followed, his boots silent against the ground, his heart pounding faster with every step. He knew this path was leading him deeper into trouble, but also deeper into truth. They reached a cave hidden behind a waterfall. The air was cool, filled with mist, and strange symbols glowed faintly on the stone walls. The princess placed her hand on one of the glowing marks, and the rock shifted. A hidden door slid open with a sound like ancient thunder. The soldier stared in disbelief, realizing this was no ordinary cave. Inside, the chamber was lit with pale blue light. Strange machines hummed, older than any empire he had heard of. Holograms flickered in the air, showing battles, planets, and faces that looked almost human. The soldier's breath caught. The history before him was alive. "This is impossible," he whispered. The princess stepped forward, her eyes glowing brighter. "This is the truth my people hide," she said firmly. "Long ago, humans were not weak. They were warriors, leaders feared by many worlds." She pointed at a hologram of human soldiers standing against towering alien beasts. "They fought, they won, and they changed the galaxy." The soldier felt his heart race, his chest tight with disbelief. "All of this, and nobody knows?" he asked, his voice shaking. She nodded slowly, sadness in her eyes. "My people erased it. They rewrote history. They made humans seem small, so no one would fear them again." Her hand trembled as she touched another glowing mark, showing ruins of an empire that once belonged to humans. The soldier stepped closer, staring at the images. He saw humans leading fleets, speaking with authority, shaping destiny. It was a history he had never been told, a history stolen from him. He clenched his fists, anger rising inside. "Why are you showing me this?" he asked, his voice low. The princess met his gaze, her eyes burning with quiet fire. "Because you must know," she said, "because you are different, and because I cannot carry this secret alone anymore." Her words struck him like a blade and like a gift at the same time. He realized then that her bond with him was not just attraction, it was trust, dangerous trust. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the cave, a metallic pulse, followed by heavy footsteps. The princess's face turned pale, her eyes wide with fear. "They found us," she whispered, her voice shaking. The soldier drew his weapon, his instincts taking over. The entrance shook as armored guards forced their way in, their voices cold, shouting commands in alien tongue. The princess grabbed the soldier's arm, pulling him deeper into the chamber. "This way," she urged, leading him through a narrow tunnel behind the glowing machines. The walls closed around them as the sound of pursuit grew louder. The soldier's heart pounded, but his mind was clear. He was no longer just running for survival. He was running with knowledge that could change everything. The hidden message burned inside him. Humans were not weak, not small, not forgotten. They were a legacy buried beneath lies, and now he carried the truth. The princess glanced back at him as they ran, her eyes fierce despite her fear. "This is only the beginning," she said breathlessly. The tunnel opened into the night sky, stars stretching endlessly above them. The soldier looked at her, and for the first time he felt not just a bond, but destiny itself. The forbidden bond had become something greater, secret that could shake the galaxy. Asterisk, the night sky stretched above them as they left the hidden cave. The soldier breathed hard, his heart still racing from the escape. The princess stood beside him, her eyes scanning the stars. Her face was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. She knew what had happened inside the cave could not stay hidden for long. The soldier finally spoke, his voice low. "They will come after us," he said. "Your guards will not stop." The princess nodded slowly, her expression heavy with fear. "They already suspect, and now they know I took you there," she whispered. "They will hunt you, and they will question me." The soldier clenched his fists. He was only one man, a stranger on this world. Yet he carried the secret of a forgotten history. The images of ancient humans, strong and proud, still burned in his mind. He felt both anger and pride, a fire rising in his chest. But with that fire came danger. The princess turned toward him, her voice softer now. "You must be careful," she said. "They will not forgive this. Not for you, not for me." The soldier looked at her and saw the conflict in her eyes. She was a princess, bound by duty, yet she risked everything for him. And he knew the bond between them had already crossed a line that could not be undone. They moved through the forest quietly. The soldier could feel the tension in every shadow. Every sound made him tighten his grip on his weapon. He felt like prey, hunted by unseen eyes. And deep inside, he knew the hunt had already begun. By dawn, they reached the edge of the city. It rose from the ground like a fortress of silver and crystal. Towers gleamed in the morning light, guarded by soldiers. In shining armor, the princess paused, her face becoming a mask again. "Here, you must stay hidden," she said. "If they see you with me, it will be the end." The soldier wanted to argue, but he saw the truth in her eyes. She turned quickly, her steps light and graceful, disappearing into the gates of the city. He stayed behind, watching from the shadows of the forest. Every part of him wanted to follow, but reason held him back. For now, he had to wait. Inside the city, whispers already filled the halls. The princess walked with her head high, but the voices followed her. "She is hiding something," they said. "She spends time in the forest." Some of the council members narrowed their eyes when she passed. Her secret was no longer safe. That evening, the soldier saw the proof from the shadows. He watched as soldiers spread out through the forest. They searched the ground, scanning for tracks, their weapons glowing faintly. One of them lifted a communicator, speaking in sharp tones. "They know I'm here," the soldier thought grimly. He moved carefully through the dark, avoiding patrols. Every step was dangerous. Every sound could give him away. He had been trained as a soldier, but this was different. He was not just fighting for survival now. He was fighting to protect a bond that should not exist. Meanwhile, the princess sat in her chamber, staring at the stars beyond. Her window, her heart was heavy, torn between fear and longing. She knew the council was watching her more closely now. Her advisor, a sharpened woman, had already questioned her twice that day. "Where do you go at night, Your Highness?" the advisor had asked, voice like a knife. The princess had smiled, hiding her fear. "I walk among the forests to find peace," she had answered calmly. But inside, her heart raced. She knew lies would not hold forever. Sooner or later, they would discover the truth. Late at night, she slipped out once more. Her cloak covered her, her steps silent. She found the soldier near the edge of the woods, waiting in the shadows. For a moment, the sight of him made her forget the danger. He smiled faintly, and the fire in her chest grew stronger. "You should not be here," she whispered again. "And yet, here I am," he replied softly. They stood close, the silence between them filled with unspoken feelings. The soldier's voice lowered, steady but full of weight. "They are hunting me, and soon they will hunt you." The princess lowered her gaze, her voice trembling. "I know, but I cannot stop now," she said. "What I showed you, what you said must live. It must not die again." The soldier felt the truth in her words. This was no longer just about two people. It was about history, legacy, and the future of both their worlds. A sudden sound shattered the moment. The trees shook as armored guards moved closer, their voices sharp in the night. The soldier raised his weapon, ready for a fight, but the princess touched his arm, her eyes fierce. "Not here, not now. We cannot be seen together." He wanted to resist, but she was right. If they were caught, it would end everything. She pulled back, her cloak swirling around her. "Trust me," she whispered, her voice like fire in the dark. "I will protect you, even if it means standing against my own people." Then she vanished into the night, her light fading once again. The soldier stood alone, his chest heavy with fire and fear. He knew the danger was growing, the walls closing in, but he also knew one truth, stronger than all the fear. The bond between them was no longer just forbidden. It was unbreakable. And in the shadows of the alien city, their enemies were already preparing to strike. The night air was heavy. As the soldier moved deeper into the forest, the sound of the alien city echoed behind him. Cold and sharp, he felt the weight of every step, the eyes of unseen hunters watching. The secret from the cave still burned in his chest. Humans were not weak. They were once warriors, rulers, and a threat to empires. The soldier could not forget the images, ancient humans standing tall, their fleets burning across the stars. It felt impossible, and yet the proof had been alive before his eyes. He had been raised to believe humans were small in the galaxy, but the truth was far greater and far more dangerous. As dawn came, the princess returned. She appeared between the trees, her cloak pulled tightly around her. Her eyes were tired, but her voice steady. "They are searching harder now," she said. "The council feels something is wrong." The soldier nodded grimly. Knowing their time was running out, she led him deeper into the woods, past rivers that glowed with silver light, past ruins half buried in the earth, until they reached another hidden chamber carved into the stone. This place was larger, grander, filled with the silence of ages. The princess pressed her hand against the wall, and the room lit with a pale fire. Holograms flickered to life, filling the chamber with ghostly figures. The soldier's breath caught as he saw humans again. This time, not only soldiers, but kings, queens, leaders standing in golden halls. They spoke in languages long forgotten, their voices powerful and commanding, and beside them stood aliens bowing, serving, respecting. The soldier stepped forward, his chest rising and falling. This is not just history," he whispered. The princess nodded, her eyes fixed on the glowing images. "It is truth," she said. "My people erased it, but I kept it alive." Her voice was soft, but carried weight like stone. She pointed to a figure on the hologram, a human leader standing tall, armor shining, a crown upon his head. "Long ago, humans ruled over worlds," she said. "They united races. They fought monsters. They even crushed empires stronger than mine." Her voice trembled, part awe, part fear. The soldier stared at the image, his hands shaking. He had grown up believing humans were survivors at best. But here was proof that they had once been something greater. It filled him with pride, but also a deep sadness. "How did we lose all of this?" he asked quietly. The princess lowered her head. "Fear," she said. "The other races feared humanity's strength, its fire. They broke you, scattered you, erased your past, and made you small. Her eyes glistened, and for a moment she looked less like a princess and more like someone carrying the weight of an impossible truth. The soldier clenched his fists, anger rising like fire. So they lied to us, to everyone, he said, his voice hard. The princess touched his arm, her voice low. Yes, but now you know, and now the truth lives again. Her touch was warm, but her eyes carried sorrow. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the chamber. A tremor shook the ground beneath their feet. The holograms flickered, and a voice rang out, cold and commanding. You should not be here, the voice said. Filled with venom, the soldier and the princess froze, their hearts pounding. From the shadows stepped the advisor, the sharp-eyed woman who had questioned the princess in the palace. Her face was twisted with anger, her armor shining under the pale light. You betrayed your people, your highness, she hissed, and you, human, dared to stand where you do not belong. The princess stepped forward, her voice firm. This truth belongs to everyone, she said, not just to lies of the council. The advisor laughed, the sound bitter and cruel. You risk everything for a weak creature, she spat. Do you think he can save you? Her eyes burned with hatred as she signaled the guards waiting behind her. The soldier raised his weapon, but the princess raised her hand. No, she whispered, her voice steady. Not yet. She turned to the advisor, her face calm. You do not see what I see, she said. Humans are not weak. They are the spark of change, the advisor sneered, but there was fear in her eyes. The guards stepped closer, their armor clattering in the silence. The soldier's pulse thundered, ready to fight, ready to die if he had to. But the princess moved quickly, pressing her hand against another mark on the wall. The chamber shifted, the ground shaking as a hidden passage opened. Go, she whispered fiercely. Run, now. The soldier hesitated, his eyes locked with hers, but she pushed him toward the passage, her voice sharp with urgency. They will not stop until you are gone. You carry the truth now. Protect it. Her eyes burned, not with fear, but with fire. Promise me, she said, her voice breaking. The soldier swallowed hard, his throat tight. I promise, he whispered. Then he turned, running into the dark tunnel behind him. He heard the clash of voices, the sound of guards, the cry of the princess standing her ground. The truth was no longer hidden, and it was no longer safe. As he emerged into the night, the soldier looked at the stars. He carried the secret of his people, a bond with the princess, and a promise that could not be broken. The galaxy would soon know, and nothing could ever be the same again. Asterisk, the tunnel stretched on in darkness. The soldier's boots struck the stone floor, his breath sharp in the silence behind him. The echoes of shouting voices still rang. He wanted to turn back, to fight beside her, but her last words were clear. Go, protect the truth. He stumbled out into the night air. The forest wrapped around him once again. The stars above looked colder now, as if they too carried the weight of betrayal. The images of humans as kings and warriors burned in his mind, and the memory of the princess's fire burned in his chest. Hours passed before he stopped to rest. He crouched near the roots of a great silver tree. His hands shook as he cleaned his weapon. He felt alone, hunted, and yet filled with purpose. The galaxy had lied about his people, but now he knew the truth. Suddenly, he heard movement. Leaves rustled, shadows shifted, and he raised his weapon. From the darkness, she appeared, her cloak torn, her face pale. It was the princess, her steps unsteady, but her eyes still fierce. The soldier rushed forward, catching her before she could fall. They know everything, she whispered, her voice shaking. The advisor betrayed me, she told the council. They will not stop now. The soldier's heart sank. He had feared this moment, but now it was real. The forbidden bond was no longer a secret. It was a crime. They called me a traitor, she continued. They said, I betrayed my people, my blood, my throne. Her voice cracked, but she lifted her head with pride. I told them the truth. I told them humans are not weak. The soldier gripped her shoulders, steadying her. You risked everything for me, he said quietly, her eyes locked with his, glowing softly even in the dark. For us, she whispered, for what must be. The soldier felt a storm inside him, fear and courage fighting together. There was no turning back now. Suddenly, the sound of metal boots thundered through the forest. Dozens of soldiers appeared, their armor gleaming, weapons glowing. The princess's hand tightened on his arm. "They will kill you," she said. "They will drag me back in chains." The soldier raised his weapon, his jaw set. The first blast lit up the night. Bolts of energy struck the trees, sending sparks into the air. The soldier returned fire, his aim sharp, his training alive in his veins. He dropped one, then another, moving with desperate speed. But there were too many, far too many. The princess lifted her hands. Symbols glowed across her skin. Ancient power rising. A wave of light burst from her palms, knocking soldiers back into the trees. Her face was strained, her body trembling, but she stood strong. The soldier looked at her with awe, knowing she was more than just a royal shea, was a warrior too. But the advisor appeared, stepping through the smoke of battle. Her armor was black, her eyes cold as ice. "You cannot win," she hissed. "Surrender the human, and perhaps I will show mercy." The princess stood tall, her voice sharp. "Never," she said. "I would rather fall than betray him." The advisor sneered and raised her weapon. The soldier fired first, forcing her to duck. Chaos exploded in the forest, weapons blazing, energy burning through the night. The soldier fought with every ounce of strength, but the enemy pressed closer, wave after wave. The princess grabbed his hand, her eyes fierce. "This way," she cried, pulling him toward a hidden path. They ran, stumbling through roots and shadows. Behind them, the forest blazed with light and fire. The sound of pursuit never stopped. At last, they burst into a clearing. A cliff stretched out before them, sharp and high. Below, a river roared, glowing silver under the moon. The princess looked back, her eyes full of fire. "They are too many," she said. "We must jump." The soldier's breath caught. The drop was deadly, the river wild. But behind them came the shouts of soldiers, the cold laugh of the advisor. There was no choice. The soldier squeezed her hand. "Together," he said, his voice steady. Her eyes softened, and she nodded. "Together," she whispered. Then, without another word, they leaped. The world spun as they fell. The roar of water are swallowing all sound. The river hit them like stone, cold and crushing, dragging them deep. The soldier fought to breathe, to hold her close. The current carried them far, spinning and pulling. But at last, they broke the surface, gasping for air. They clung to each other as the river swept them into darkness. The city lights were gone. The shouts of soldiers faded. Only the stars above remained, silent witnesses to their escape. The soldier looked at her, his chest aching. They had lost everything, but they still had each other. The princess leaned against him, her voice soft. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. Her eyes glowed with both sorrow and hope. The soldier tightened his grip on her, and in the endless night, their bond burned brighter than ever. The river carried them far from the city when the current finally slowed. The soldier and the princess dragged themselves onto the rocky shore. They were exhausted, soaked, and bruised, but alive. The moonlight fell across their faces, silver against the dark night. For a moment, neither spoke. They only breathed together, holding on to survival. The soldier looked at her. She was shaken, not from fear, but from anger. Her people had betrayed her, called her traitor, hunted her through the forest. Yet even now, her eyes still burned with fire. He realized then that she was not only a princess, but a rebel, a dreamer, a fighter. "We cannot go back," she whispered, her voice heavy. "They will kill you, and they will chain me until my spirit breaks." The soldier nodded, his chest tight with rage. "They will not stop," he said. "Not until the truth is buried again." The princess touched his hand, her eyes fierce. "Then we cannot let it die," she replied. The soldier felt the weight of her words settle inside him. He remembered the holograms, the images of humans standing as rulers and warriors. He remembered the lies that had erased that history. And he knew now what they had to do. "We take the truth to others," he said firmly. "Not just to your people, but to the galaxy, to everyone." The princess smiled faintly, her face glowing under the stars. "Yes," she whispered, "we will show them what humans once were. and what they can be again. For the first time since their meeting, hope rose stronger than fear. Days passed as they moved through the wilderness. They lived as fugitives, hiding from patrols, surviving on little. The soldiers' training kept them alive. But it was the princess's knowledge of secret paths and ancient ruins that guided them. Every night they sat by small fires, speaking of the future they might build. But the galaxy was not silent. Rumors began to spread, whispers of a princess who had betrayed her throne. Whispers of a human who fought beside her, surviving against impossible odds. The council feared these stories, for every whisper carried danger. And yet, those whispers grew louder, reaching ears they never expected. One night, the princess led him to another hidden chamber, smaller than the others, but older. Its walls carved with strange runes. This place, she said softly, was a meeting ground long ago. The soldier stepped inside, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. In the center stood a crystal orb, glowing faintly. The princess placed her hand upon it. Images bloomed in the ancient wars, fleets burning, leaders rising, humans at the center of it all, their fire unmatched. But this time, the images also showed betrayal, the moment when other races united to break them, to erase them. The soldier's chest tightened as he watched. The fall of his people was not weakness, it was fear. The galaxy had feared humanity's spirit, its refusal to kneel, and so they had buried the truth beneath lies and silence. But now, that truth was alive once more. The princess looked at him, her eyes bright with determination. You carried their spirit, she said. You are proof the fire still lives. The soldier swallowed hard, feeling the weight of her belief. I am only one man, he said. Her lips curved into a faint smile. One man can start a war, she whispered. One man can start a legacy. Her words struck him like thunder. For the first time, he believed it might be true. He was not weak. He was not small. He was human. Suddenly, the chamber shook. The sound of boots echoed through the tunnels, voices sharp and commanding. The council's soldiers had tracked him once again. The soldier raised his weapon, his eyes hard. The princess stepped beside him, her hands glowing with light. The advisor entered, her armor dark as the night. Her eyes narrowed, her voice cold. It ends here, she said. Your bond is a sickness. Your truth is a lie. The princess lifted her chin, her voice sharp. No, it begins here, she said firmly, and no one can stop it. The battle that followed shook the chamber. Blades of light clashed, weapons fired, shadows burned against stone. The soldier fought like the warriors he had seen in the holograms. Every strike, every move carried the fire of his ancestors. Beside him, the princess unleashed power that lit the chamber like a star. The advisor fell at last, her weapon clattering against the stone. The surviving guards fled, their faces pale with fear. The soldier stood panting, blood on his hands, fire in his chest. The princess touched his shoulder, her voice steady. It is done, she said, but it is only the first step. They turned to the crystal orb, still glowing with the images of forgotten glory. The soldier reached out, his hand brushing the light. I will carry this truth, he said, not for me, but for all humans, for all who deserve to know. The princess smiled, tears shining in her eyes. And I will stand with you, she whispered, until the galaxy hears your voice. Together, they left the chamber, walking into the night. The stars above seemed brighter now, no longer silent. The soldier no longer felt small, no longer felt lost. He was part of something greater, something eternal. The human legacy had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same.